And we are live. Hey, everybody. I am Haley Gray. I am the group owner in the Women's Entrepreneur Network. I am so excited to be here today with this month's WEN-Talk. We have three amazing speakers for you today. I want to tee up our first speaker. This is Heidi Mccurdy. Heidi, welcome. I am so blessed to have you here. I cannot wait to hear your talk. And with that, I give you the stage.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. As Haley said, my name's Heidi Mccurdy. And today my presentation will be on the topic of singing from your soul, what that means to me, a little bit of how to, and a little bit of why we might want to do that as well. So before we dive in, here's a little bit about me. I'm a singer, songwriter, sound healer, holistic voice coach, and expressive arts therapist. And singing from the soul has been a huge aspect of my personal growth, my spiritual development, my wellness, my healing, and my good old creative fun as well. So I love to share that in my work. I love to guide other creative, soulful women to free their voice so that they can bring the healing joys of music into their everyday life. And my online courses, I've collected a lot of different methods of singing that are different from just singing songs through the years. And I love to be creative with singing and sounding. So I've adapted some kind of traditional singing practices into a more holistic way, as well as drawing from ancient healing sound practices, like sounding the chakras, gentle breath work, things like that. So my online courses and private lessons combine all of these things, which is all about the ways that I love to sing and share. So what does it mean to sing from your soul? To me, it means a spontaneous expression from your creative spirit when we're really tuned into the moment. It's an expression of our authentic self that comes through our voices. And so we don't need to have a song all the time that's already written. We can sing the music that's inside of our hearts at any moment. That might sound kind of wacky if you haven't experienced that before, but there are some practices, some ways to open up your soul song so that it can flow. And singing from the soul means we tune into the present moment with our creative spirit to see what emerges and go with the flow. Singing from the soul is a mindfulness practice. It's a kind of meditation that can be really fun, relaxing, and healing all at the same time. When we sing, we send vibrations through our whole body. These vibrations travel around through our brain, through our face, through our chest, and they actually they activate the vagus nerve, which is a nerve, part of our nervous system that runs from the brain down through all of our organs. So when we sound, especially in a meditative kind of way, I've got my singing bowl to accompany us. When we sound in a meditative kind of way, it activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which calms us out of fight or flight mode and into a more relaxation type of mode. And of course, as we know, as entrepreneurs, when we're in a relaxation type of mode, it's much easier to make our decisions and to communicate our message and to access our creative genius. And also the vibrations of singing meditation, they activate all kinds of beneficial neurotransmitters that we need to feel our best and be as clear-minded as possible, and hormones that help us to be happy and healthy as well. And intuitive singing, which is another word for singing from the soul, it helps us to express the wisdom and beauty of our creative spirit and our inner world as well. So today, as an invitation into singing from the soul, let's back a bit, my mic seems a little bit loud. If it's too loud or too quiet, just let me know in the comments. So today I'll introduce singing from the soul with a very ancient singing healing practice called toning. So toning is based on just sounding one long sound, one long tone at a time. And then, of course, me being a spontaneous improviser, creative singer, I like to elaborate from there. So I'll show you what I mean in a moment. We'll begin with my singing bowl. my crystal singing bowl here that you can see. And then I'm going to share a piece of music with you that I call Soul Harmony Singing Meditation, that I created to be an invitation, an opening into singing from the soul. So to begin with, let's do a little warm-up, a little connecting with our breath and our voice to get into our bodies, into our voices. So you might want to do a little stretch. Oh, and I'll say too, if you're, this is an invitation to sing and sound with me today. But if you're not in the mood for singing, or you're not comfortable, you're a little shy about your voice, even in your own space, you're welcome to just listen. So you can participate in any way that's comfortable. At the end will be a little bit of a sound bath, even if you're not singing along. So a little stretching to open up our singing spaces. You might want to loosen your shoulders, loosen your neck a little bit. And then I invite you to soften your belly and open your ribs a little bit and just let your breath flow in and then sigh out. So we're going to sigh it out on an ah sound. Inhaling through the mouth, sighing out on an ah. Even doing that very simple practice, connecting your breath to your voice, is a great way to open up your voice. If you have a talk coming up, or you want to wake up your communication skills, your creativity, just tune into your voice and your breath a little bit. So let's do that again. Let your jaw soften, let your belly soften. And let the sigh be on your voice. So it's not just a breathy sigh, like let your voice out. Let your voice out to connect with the world. Beautiful. Let's take it into a bit of a slide going up. Gentle little stretch for your voice. If your voice is a little creaky, cracky, that's okay. Offer yourself some self-compassion. Let's do that again. Beautiful. Now we'll do some humming sounds to wake up those magical vibrations so they can travel through your body and feed you all that goodness that your own voice carries as a healing instrument and an expressive, intuitive instrument. So we'll use some humming sounds like this. Sounding in your own way. Try some lower notes. Maybe a higher note. Maybe even a higher note if you feel like it. So let's start with a tone, with a singing bowl, and then I'll bring in the music. So we'll start with just a long tone. You can sing the same note as me or any note you like. There's no wrong way. Let's start on ah, and open it into the ah. Again. And I'm gonna bring, whoops, oh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I'm smashy crashy and I bang the bowls. I try not to. So I'm gonna bring in the musical track now called Soul Harmony Singing Meditation. And I'll begin here, sounding on one note right through the center. And then I'll start to bring in some harmonies. and then I'll start to play with some soul songs, some melodies over top. That might sound like a lot if you haven't done this before, so that's okay. Just follow along. You can follow my voice or sing along in your own way. So this is about your creative journey with the music to see what it inspires, and I'll be here for you the whole time. So let's bring in soul harmony singing meditation. Oh, my speaker's off. So start with that ah right through the center. Nice and easy from your breath. No need to be perfect. No, nothing to get right. Just enjoying feeling your voice in your body, your magical healing instrument that you carry with you all the time. I'm going to start to bring in some other harmonies, some other vowel sounds. If you feel lost or ungrounded, you can always come back to that center, which is our home base. With each breath, we're tuning in to whatever sound wants to come next. What does your soul feel like singing right now? What sound, what vowel, how high, how low? You don't need to choose it with your mind. Just let the sound flow in whatever way feels good right now. Start to swirl and play and slide into some melody, spontaneous melody. There's no song here, just whatever music emerges from your heart in this moment. Sounds like my mic is maybe cutting out a little bit. I'm not sure. Hope that's not too distracting. About 4 minutes left of this piece. Allow yourself, if you're singing with me, to sink in, to tune into whatever music is in your soul, even if you're singing that home base the whole time, or some high notes or some low notes. There's no wrong notes in singing from the soul. Bringing it to a close for yourself over the next minute or so. Just be with yourself for a couple of moments. Notice what you feel. If you feel anything different than when you arrived, it's good to pay attention to the signals your voice sends you from your inner music. Thank you so much for sounding with me. If you would like to have this music for yourself, it's a free gift. I created it to share, to inspire people to sing from their soul and tune into their inner music and activate their sound healer. So you can find that on my website that's posted on the screen there, HeidiMccurdy.com. And that'll sign you up for my email list as well to be invited to upcoming workshops and singing events. Thank you so much for sounding with me, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. It was a unique WEN-Talk, and I loved it, and very relaxing. And I cannot believe how much fun that was. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Great. You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to try to play tech, moving people along. Thank you, Heidi, and welcome, Jeff. So happy to have you here.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me in. I know every now and then when I'm out on the Women's Entrepreneur Network, somebody is asking, why is a guy in here? And I said, well, I know a gal, right? Haley, you and I have known each other for a few years now. Sort of worked a little bit together. So I'm always grateful for the opportunity to come to learn and pick up wisdom from wherever it is. So thanks for inviting me and giving me the floor for 20 minutes here today. And for those who are tuning in, thank you for gifting me with your attention as well. So my name is Jeff Zimmerman. My company is Navigator Personal Development. I am a speaker, trainer, and a coach. I work with leaders in organizations, but I also work with parents. I am a parent. We have 3 kids of our own and 2 grandchildren. So, that's where my passion lies, is in that space. But today, what I want to talk about and share with you for just these 20 minutes here is something that I call crawl out of your BS. Now, when I talk about BS, I'm not talking about that rich, farm fresh fertilizer or any other sort of disastrous or less valuable things that might be coming into your life. What I'm talking about is your belief system, right? The things that you believe about yourself and about the world and about your place in the world all have a really profound effect on the way that you live your life. As an example, the things that we believe influence something as core to us as our emotions, right? Before you even have an emotion about something, it first comes in as input or a stimulus of somehow coming into your body through your eyes, ears, nose, your spirit, through your soul. Something comes in and it goes through what you believe about that particular thing, and then it will generate an emotion for you. So here's what I mean by that. If we were all in the same room together, and I was to come in and bring in a box, and I open up that box, and inside that box is a snake, right? And so I take it out. Some people in that room might be afraid. They might say, I'm not going to be in the room with the snake, right? I don't care what kind of snake it is. I don't care if it's friendly or not. I don't care if it's venomous or not. I'm out of here, right? I have nothing to do with this. Some people might sit there and say, I'm a little curious about that. I'm not going to run from it, but I'm not going to leave the room and I'm not going to approach it. And still others, my aunt is a great example of this. She wants to interact with it, right? She'll want to hold it. She'll want to touch it. She'll want to talk in her little squishy baby voice about this cute little snake that she found, right? People will come to that situation. They'll be influenced in that situation differently based on what they believe about that animal that I've introduced into the situation. This whole concept sort of occurred to me. There was a TV show, still is a TV show. It's called Billions. You may have seen it, maybe not. But one of the main characters in there is a guy who is he runs a hedge fund. And he's in this show, it's sort of hard to tell who the good guys and bad guys are. But anyhow, there was a particular scene in there where a world event happened, a weather event happened somewhere else in the world. And immediately he started thinking about, how can I profit from this? What is going to happen that's going to cause some businesses to lose money, some businesses to earn money? And how do I invest appropriately based on this thing that happened in the world? And it struck me that for him, even though he's a fictional character, for him, what he operates on is his belief that there's a way to profit on things. And so he filters his responses through that. He filters his responses based on what he believes about that situation. For me, as a person, whenever something happens, my mind will go to one of two places. Either it will say, what is the funniest thing about what just happened? Or what song does this remind me of? So one of those two things for me is what will happen. Now, I know sometimes people will see any event and they'll say, what is the most offensive thing about what just happened? Or what do I need to be bothered about? Or what do I need to be concerned about? Or what is joyous about this? Or what can I learn about it? The beliefs that we have about ourselves and the world will cause us to make decisions on what we want to do next, because we've got that emotional connection to it. So that's what I mean by your belief system, is the things that you believe about yourself and about the world that are influencing the way that you live your life, the way you make your decisions. Now, crawl is also an acronym. I started to get really curious about, if I have a belief system, what's driving it? What are sort of the factors about myself and my world that cause me then to take a risk or not, to make a business decision or not, before I was married to ask a girl out or not, right? What's happening in my brain that's causing me to take a particular action? So when I think about those things, about those characteristics, I made up an acronym that covers, I think, a pretty broad spectrum of what is influencing my belief system, especially about myself. So the C from crawl, that stands for things that I believe I'm capable of. What are the skills that I have? What are the things that I trust myself about? What are the things that I've learned about? Whether it was formal learning or whether it was on the job, whether it was through experimentation, whether it was from watching other people learn or share things with me. What is it that I think that I am capable of doing? And whether or not I feel I will be successful if I go after something, right? If I take a business risk, if I decide to go to a restaurant, whatever it is. Restaurants are a great one for me. When I was growing up, the rule in our house around the dinner table was you don't have to like it, but you are going to eat it, right? That was just the rule at our table. And because of that, although I disliked it quite a bit as a kid, I now have a pretty wide open palate. Like I never have any fear that I will walk into a restaurant and not find anything that I'm going to enjoy as my meal. And I'm not generally someone who's going to rearrange the menu and ask for this and that and the other thing to be changed. It's just not how I operate. It's not important to me that it's customized to my liking around the dinner table. My wife is the opposite. If you ever saw the movie When Harry Met Sally, she's very Sally, and I call her about that. She wants things the way that she wants them, and that's fine as well, right? We just have different approaches to that. So I'm capable of entering any restaurant anywhere and finding something to eat. I'm fine with that. The R in crawl is things that we believe that we are required to do. And these will come from the rules maybe in our household, maybe in our culture, maybe through our religion, any number of things that will come in that says, this is based on who you are, where you live, what you look like. These are the things that you are required to do, right? Maybe it's to stand up in a particular way. Maybe it's, you always take on this particular responsibility. Maybe it's you're required to keep yourself small and humble. Maybe it's you're required to keep yourself quiet. Maybe you feel you're required to, keep your thoughts to yourself. Maybe you believe you are required to, act out violently. One of the things that I hear commonly that men often feel is that we are not allowed as men to be sad about things or to be afraid of things, but it's perfectly fine for us to be mad about stuff. And so a lot of times we will use anger as a mask for things that we are either sad about or that we're afraid of. And that's just one of the many examples of what we're told or what we may believe we are required to do. So R, required. That's the second letter in the acronym crawl. Third is A, that's for allowed. What are the things that we are allowed to do? Right? What are the things that we might want to choose, but we don't feel that we have the permission required? Right? What would my mom think? What would my dad think? What would my neighbors think if I were to do that? Right? Do I still feel like I have to do something to gain the respect or the permission from a parent or a spouse or a friend or a child? What are these things that I feel that I'm allowed to do? Right? Am I allowed to speak my mind? Am I allowed to spend this dollar amount? Am I allowed to walk around in my house wearing whatever I choose to? And again, these are things that will be influenced by our parents, by our culture, by our religion. But these are, again, a part of our set of beliefs that we have about what we are capable of doing. and it will influence whether we make a decision about that. The fourth one, and this is one I hear a lot about, is worthy. What are the things that we think we're worthy of? Am I worthy of that success? Am I worthy of earning that much money? Am I worthy of having my voice out there? Or do I feel something is holding me back from that worth? Do I feel like, man, I would love to live the $1 million lifestyle, but something is, I don't think I'm the right person for that. I could never do that. Right? I don't feel valuable enough in my heart to want to go after that. And so I will make smaller decisions. I'll lead a smaller life. I won't extend myself because I don't feel worthy of that level of success or that level of compensation. And that can come again from things around us. The money is a great example, right? Maybe what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about money is that better people than us are allowed to live that lifestyle. That's a belief, right? That's a belief. It's what we believe about ourselves. It's part of your BS, part of your belief system. You know, maybe what you are believing is that money is evil, right? Money is not a good tool. Maybe we believe that it's just going to get in the way. I had a coaching client who recently asked me this question, and you know, she's a lady. She's in her mid 70s, and we're having a conversation, and she says, "I want to live a little more luxuriously, but am I worthy of it?" And as we talk through it, we're sort of where we landed is, look, the universe wants to flow through you. The good things want to flow through you. And when we put that limit on ourselves of whether we think we are worthy of something or not, we've sort of constricted that channel for the universe. And so the universe will flow through wherever it can find to flow through. But if we constrict it, it's going to flow through somebody else. So let's stop blocking ourselves there. The L in crawl stands for limited by, right? What are the things that we think we are limited by? And maybe it's our geographic location. Maybe it's our resources that are readily available. Maybe it's our physical body that we inhabit. You know, maybe we're too tall, too short, too old, too young, too white, too black, too many limbs, not enough limbs, whatever it is. What are the things about our body, about our circumstances, about our location, about the people that we know, about our knowledge, right? That we believe will cause us not to be successful. And so that L is a little bit more of a bucket item, things that we believe will limit us. You know, what I started to observe is that when, myself included, when I find a limit of why I shouldn't go for something because of my age, right? My race, my skin color, my gender, my sex, whatever. If I could find somebody else who had that exact same characteristic about themselves, who was just crushing it, just knocking it out of the park. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Nick Vujicic or not. Has no arms and no legs whatsoever. And yet he is just a super passionate guy, right? And just always brings energy wherever he goes as a pastor and as a speaker. And so if I can look at an individual like Nick and say, hey, Nick, you know, I've got 2 arms and 2 legs here, got all my fingers and toes. Why am I using anything else as an excuse not to move forward? Another event that I was at there, and I apologize, I've forgotten the lady's name. She's a woman. She is African American. She only has one leg, and she is a gold medal downhill skier. Right? Things that I see people take as an example of why they can't be successful. There are others around me who I observe being successful in spite of, or in some cases even because of, whatever it is that other people are using as a limitation. But again, as I mentioned, it's all about what we believe. It's all about how we take all these things, all these different characteristics about ourselves, things we believe are capable of, right? Our skills and our resources and that sort of thing. What we believe we are required to do. Whether it's you're required to go to violence to protect somebody else, whether you're required to keep your mouth shut, whether you're required to let somebody else go first, right? Those are all beliefs. And so when you find yourself coming to make a decision about something, or whether to take an opportunity or not, or whether to begin an interaction with somebody, and you hesitate about it, take a moment and think about what it is that's stopping you from taking that action or taking that initiative or moving forward in that way. And you may not have time right then in the moment, but do take some time and sort of think about, where did that come from? Where did that belief about myself or about this opportunity, where did that come from? And then ask a really important question. Is that really true? Is that really true? Right? I'm a middle-aged white guy. Whatever you believe about middle-aged white guys, right? I probably have, I don't know how many people are on here, but probably that many different perspectives on what it means to be a middle-aged white guy. But when I think about, are the things that I believe about being a middle-aged white guy, are they really influencing me in making decisions about moving forward? Yes, they are. But is it really a true and accurate situation? Or is it just something that I believe about myself? So that's what I mean by crawl out of your BS, right? It's your belief system. It influences everything about everything that you do. And so if you can find a way to crawl out of it, check your beliefs and move on from them, you can get closer to living the life that you really want. Thank you kindly for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate your attention. Haley, thank you especially for extending the invitation and affording me these few minutes here with your community. I certainly appreciate it. If you want to reach out, my web address is on the screen, gives you all my contact information. You can reach out with a phone call. You can reach out with a web request, whatever works best for you. But I would love to interact with anybody who's open to such an interaction.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this talk today. I really appreciate it. I'm always glad to have one of our amazing men who is a member of our group speaking and participating, and it means the world to me. Thank you so much for being here today, Jeff.
Of course. Thank you.
And with that, we're going to play the game of modern technology here and switch to our next speaker. And I want to welcome Abby. Welcome, Abby. I am so grateful to have you here pinch hitting and speaking with us today. And thank you for putting up with all of our crazy going on in the background. Welcome, Abby. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. First thing I wanted to do was say, wow, right? I was here for the last couple of speakers. So Heidi, amazing from a music perspective. And Jeff, from a mindset perspective, it fits really nicely into what I'm going to talk about today, which is manifesting. And the Paralympic skier that Jeff was trying to think of is Bonnie St. John. And she is also an incredibly inspirational, motivational speaker. We actually work with her through the company that I work for. So let's talk about manifesting. And I wanted to start with a journey that I have been on. And for those of you that can relate, if you have been through any sort of difficulty in your life, and that could be big or small, for me, it was trauma related. And that trauma left me in a place that was dark, right? You might feel overwhelmed and angry, and we all go through those times in our lives. And I had one of those times, kind of building up until I graduated from college. And at the point I graduated from college, I moved as far away from home as you possibly could. Now, I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but I really wanted to change. And not just a change in my physical surrounding, I wanted a change in me. And that's where manifesting came into my life for the first time. And that's really where the idea of positivity came into my life for the first time. I wanted something different. I wanted to wake up and be a different person. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I didn't want to hold on to that anger and frustration anymore. So I dove very deep into researching all of the ways of mindset, right? Which is why I think Heidi and Jeff's conversations before this one fit so well, because it really is about mindset when we're thinking about the internal work that needs to be done. And that internal work that needs to be done often impacts everything else, right? It impacts our family, it impacts our children, it impacts our businesses, it impacts our careers. And so it's really important to figure out how we implement positive reinforcement into our lives every single day, right? So I went on this journey and I wanted to be different. And so I started filling my mind with books, right? And I don't know about you, anybody out there, a huge reader? I am a huge reader. Often self-help books are really how I read, and things like this. So Gabrielle Bernstein, I don't know anybody else if you are a fan out there, but The Universe Has Your Back. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little while around a meditation that's in there that I want to recommend for you. So I was on this journey so that I could change who I was and what I felt like on the inside. And so filled my mind with all of kind of the gurus that are out there from a mindset perspective. And I looked for different ways to make sure that I could sustain the change that I wanted, right? If I think about when we're trying to get healthier. So you're like, okay, I'm going to start on Monday. And on Monday, I'm going to track all my calories and I'm going to start exercising every day and so on. Well, we have sometimes big aspirations, but if we don't actually put tools in place that help us stick to those changes that we want to make, you fall off the wagon, right? You eat the potato chips. You don't get back on the treadmill. We need tools to help us. I like to call it the practice of positivity. In the same way that you practice yoga or many other things, I believe you have to practice positivity. And we have to put tools and systems and processes in place to help us consistently do that day over day, because it's hard. You have all of these kind of negative forces coming at you, and it's hard to stay on track. In the same way, it's hard to stay on track with exercise and diet. So let's talk about the first tool that I want you to think about implementing from a manifesting perspective. So one of the ones I love, and if you have tried it before, I encourage you to think about trying it again. And those are affirmations. And affirmations are free. Seriously. You can Google them right now and find a ton of them. So I'm going to give you a few tools here, and they are going to be both effective and economical from a cost perspective. So affirmations, they seem small. And this is the thing about change, is it sometimes and often those small things that you do day over day over day that help you get those big results. So for me, affirmations is one of them. You can absolutely Google it. I have an app on my phone called I Am. Love it. If you are somebody who has ever considered affirmations, that app is for you. So I Am, and it will give you a choice. Do you want an affirmation once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day? And this is that practice of positivity. This is that filling our head with positive things, even though the world outside us keeps like pinging us with these negative things, right? And whether that is relationships, right? Your interaction with your family, friends, children, or that is the media, there's all kinds of things that come at us during a day. And so affirmations are a really inexpensive way to take those small steps and to begin building our own, what I call a success mindset blueprint. We all have different ones. Like my blueprint would be different than yours, but my blueprint is set up based on my history. So I talked about earlier, I had some early trauma. And so what I need on my success blueprint may be slightly different than what you need on yours. So it's really based on what you've been through, your history, and where you are right now. And if you're like me, it feels like you have these two worlds, right? Your business, your career, and your family. And they kind of flip and flop, right? Like things are going well in your business or in your career, and things are maybe a little rough at home. And then they swap, right? And so we're constantly in this kind of battle between the two and trying to make sure that you don't have fires in both places, right? So this practice of positivity and ensuring that you have tools in place to help you stay on track from a positivity perspective are what I want you to take away from today. So affirmations is one of them. The next one is a gratitude journal. Now, I, many years ago, would have told you that I don't journal. So this is my journal. And I didn't think what I did was journaling. I thought that when people journaled, it was people who wanted to write down all of their feelings on a piece of paper. And that is a kind of journaling. Mine was more things I was grateful for. It was also things that were happening in my business, or from a manifesting perspective, things that I wanted to happen. I would put, okay, in 2023, I want to be here. I want to make this much. I want this change in my life. I didn't even realize what I was doing was in part gratitude journaling and in part manifesting what I really wanted to happen in my life. So some of you may not even know that you're already manifesting the things that you want in your life. You're already manifesting those dreams you have. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story about my son. So my son is now 6. He is amazing. He is right there. And we met him on the day after he was born. So he is adopted, and he is the amazing joy of my life. Coming into adopting our son, we had tried for many years to have children, and we're not successful. And that's a whole different journey, right? That some of you may have been on, like me. But about 3 weeks before we got the call from the adoption agency that my son had been born, I was traveling for business, and my spouse and I were talking on the phone, and on the counter was a milk jug. Well, picked up the milk jug, and there on the counter was a footprint, and it looked like a baby footprint, and it had 4 toes. I was kind of like, that's kind of weird picture of it, And in that same time period, within a day or two, we got a phone call from the adoption agency about a different birth, a really high risk birth. The child was in Florida. Was it something we wanted to consider? We looked at all the factors and decided that it wasn't a good fit for us. but I just happened to be traveling for work in Florida at the same time. And it was like, is this a sign from the universe? Right? We've been manifesting. We've been, wanting so much to build our family. Is this a sign? Anybody else do that? Right? Is this a sign? Is the universe telling me something? And sure enough, 3 weeks later, we got the telephone call that my son had been born. We rushed 6 hours across the state to get to where he was. And sure enough, when the hospital did his footprint, though he has 5 toes, the footprint on our hospital footprint has 4 toes. Right? If that does not give you chills, then you're dead inside. Because it was the most amazing kind of miracle, right? But it was for manifesting. It was for manifesting what we wanted. We wanted to grow our family. And we were incredibly blessed to be able to do that with this amazing guy. So we put in our hearts and we put in our minds the things that we want to make happen. And those things don't happen by accident, right? What you think about, you create. One of my favorite quotes that I have over here on my wall is, you become what you think about most, but you also attract what you think about most. So if I go back to the practice of positivity, it's incredibly important what we're putting in our minds, right? What we're reading, what we're listening to. So we've talked about affirmations. We talked about a gratitude journal. I want to talk a little bit about meditation. And I'm going to go back to Gabby Bernstein's book. And there's a really great meditation in here, page 36 in The Universe Has Your Back. And it's the one I use. And I use it specifically because I have trouble meditating. I don't know about anybody else, but and I have ADHD. So the process of sitting down and being still and being quiet is incredibly difficult. So for me, I use Gabby's book. I use kind of a monk monastery bells sort of music. And I meditate for 5 minutes. That's what works for me. And so if you're somebody who says, I've sat down and I tried to do it and I just couldn't make it work, I get that. I absolutely get that. Oh, and Meg says, I definitely need a mindset shift currently. Yes, many of us do. Many of us. And it really is a practice. It's that practice of positivity. It isn't going to happen just by magic, right? I wish that the world was filled with butterflies and sunshine and sparkles all the time, but it's not. And so it's important for us to have a practice, for us to have these tools in place that we can anchor to, that we can keep ourselves going in that positive mindset. So meditation, 5 minutes. If you tried it before, please try it again. It will make a huge difference to the way you are feeling about everything. Clearing your mind. And I heard something really interesting about meditating recently. And the person told me that it wasn't so much about trying to keep your mind clear the entire time. It was about keeping your mind clear and making that space between the next thought that comes in longer and longer and longer. And that was actually really helpful and reinforcing to me because I have such trouble, right? I sit down to meditate and thoughts come in, right? Even though you try to stay in your third eye and you try to stay concentrated. So I encourage you to give it another try, to consider it as part of your success mindset blueprint and something that you can do in order to keep that practice of positivity. Now, let me check my time. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 more things before I run out of time. One is visualization. And if you think about really high-performing athletes, they often use the practice of visualization. And that is, closing their eyes and thinking about making that shot, or thinking about winning that game, or thinking about winning that medal. They see themselves doing it. And when you visualize, the more you can see yourself in the moment, the more you can really hear, smell, taste, all of the senses of that moment when you're visualizing, the more real it is, right? Your mind can't tell the difference. Your mind can't tell the difference between fiction and reality. And so visualization is an incredibly powerful technique. And if you're wanting to build a successful business, I work with women who are working to build profitable online businesses. If you're doing that, you need to be visualizing what that looks like for you. What's on the other side of that? Is it a car? Is it a house? Is it wanting to give back to your community? What does that look like? And the more real you can make that, the more amazing stuff you're putting out into the universe, right? To grow your business, to find joy. One of the things I work on with my clients is ensuring that no matter what we're focused on, whether that is personal, professional, building a business, we're focused on joy and how they are bringing more joy to their lives. Because we spend so much time on the hamster wheel, right? Or staying so incredibly busy that we don't pause for a minute to say, did I have joy today? Was I joyful? Were the things that I were doing things that made me happy? And again, that practice of positivity, right? We've got to build that success mindset blueprint for ourselves so that we have tools like affirmation and gratitude journals and visualization and meditation, things that will help keep us on track when life throws all of those things at us. So before I run out of time, the last thing I wanted to talk about was clutter. And clutter can be really anywhere, right? Clutter can be on your shelves. Clutter can often be in your mind, though. And if our brain is filled with so much clutter, we're not really able to let anything else in. We're not really able to land anywhere, right? You're constantly spinning in your head. So I encourage you to clear the clutter, both figuratively and very literally. If you are feeling blocked in your office, clear off your desk in your office. If you are feeling blocked from growing your business, do something I call a clarity sprint and simply get somebody to work with you and write it down. Whatever it is that's roaming around in there, rolling around like marbles in your head, get it done on paper. It helps. It helps to clear the clutter so that you can build and grow and manifest the amazing things that I know you can in your life. So I'm going to thank you for your time today. It has been amazing to be here. I see my website there, www.leadwithpositivity.com. That is my business, Lead with Positivity. And you could reach out to me there, find me on Facebook. I would love to help support you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. And what an inspirational talk. I always love it when the talks like kind of feed on each other. It's like amazing to me.
It was awesome.
And I never plan it. I never try to force it. And it always seems to happen. So
It's the universe.
It's the universe doing its thing. Thank you so much, Abby. I am grateful for having you here. Thank you for everybody who's watched and commented today. Have a blessed afternoon and take care. Bye-bye.